Hey, what's up everyone? I am Katie from Burnt Pancakes, and I'm going to show you how to get your freezer stash to look like this. Well, I am here with new mom Heather, and we're going to talk about some of the tips and tricks that I have been sharing with her to get her freezer stash looking like that. If you are a breastfeeding mom or have breastfed, that freezer is heavenly. I mean, I was so jealous when I saw it. So let's talk about what she is doing that's working. Okay, Heather is a new mom. How old is your sweet baby?
Charlie just turned 2 months.
Oh my God, already?
Yeah, 10 weeks this last Thursday.
Oh my gosh. You're going back to work soon. When and how are you feeling?
I'm going back to work in 30 days, so I'm feeling a little bit anxious. And a big part of it has a lot to do with, do I have enough milk? Even though that freezer looks full, there's always something in the back of my mind where I'm trying to think like, is she going to be eating more that day or less? Or is something going to get spilled? Because that happens all too frequent.
Don't cry over spilt milk unless you're a mother breastfeeding. So
yes,
true.
Yes. So just making sure I have enough stash has been really vital to my anxiety and, you know, making sure I have a plan.
Okay, we're going to get you through this. We will. Okay, so let's talk pumping. Some people say not to pump early on. I was always under the impression that I'm going to pump as soon as I can. What have you done pumping wise, and how is that going?
So my breast milk came in hot and heavy very early, probably
lucky girl,
around week 2. So I actually did start utilizing the breast pump around week 2, and again had a lot to do with I had supply coming in, oversupply. I was leaking everywhere. I have a really embarrassing story.
Tell us. We love these stories. Oh,
you know, it was a very hot day. I thought I was sweating. I was not. Right. So we'll leave it at that. I'm sure your imagination can take you there. So it was really important for me at that point. I had to do something with this breast milk. So that's when I did start pumping. I did seek a lactation consultant. I talked to you 100 times.
But thank goodness for those lactation consultants. That's
especially
amazing.
because I wasn't familiar with my overflow situation.
You were telling me that Charlie would, when she would latch on, she would choke at the beginning.
She would choke because it was like
too
drinking
much.
through a fire hose. It was too much.
Poor baby.
It was aggressive. You know, you have this 2-week-old baby, and I'm just sitting here, first of all, trying to figure out breastfeeding because I've never done that before. So it was very uncomfortable for both of us and not natural at all. And so, of course, breastfeeding, you hear these stories, I was watching a show and I just got to snuggle. Or during that time, I have a baby that's kicking, screaming, coughing.
And your shoulders are up to here and you're getting tense.
Right. Yeah. So it was very messy and entertaining to say the least, but not in the best way.
So pumping before you would nurse her would take that extra away. So
absolutely. And that's where I got from you. The lactation consultant, I talked to her after I had talked to you actually. And she just verified the conversation that we had. So I did pump a little bit before, knowing that I was going to have access. And it made a much more pleasurable experience breastfeeding, where we did have those peaceful moments, you know, where most women talk about, because sometimes they like to talk about the good, not the bad, right? So
hey, we're moms helping moms. So tell us how you leaked in Target. We love to hear that. Okay, so how often were you pumping in the early days?
So as mentioned, I started about 2 weeks in, and because of the excess milk, I had to pump pretty frequently because of the pressure.
Oh yeah.
So I was making sure.
Level.
Yes, exactly. So I figured out how to pump a little bit before I fed her. So that's when I was pumping. And then also in the afternoons and in the evenings before I went to bed is really when I focused on pumping, because I wanted to make sure when I was going to have some times where it's going to be a bit longer of a stretch, let's say, when she started sleeping longer hours.
Oh, like 3 hours?
Yeah, 3 hours instead of 2. I just wanted to make sure that I also can get some sleep during that time and I didn't have too much pressure.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing earlier on. But then again, I started using the Haakaa pretty frequently.
Okay, my secret weapon was the Haakaa. This is the Generation 3 Haakaa. Let's talk about how wonderful this thing is. You can find all the details for this Haakaa breast pump in the description below.
Haakaa has been a lifesaver for me, and again, thank you, because you're the reason why I have it. I put it on my registry because of your advice.
I heard about it from another mom, so
it's brilliant though. So
it was a lifesaver for me.
I actually eventually my oversupply started to calm down and it was more regulated. So what I do at this point in time is while I'm breastfeeding, I have it on the other breast and I'm able to collect an excess amount of milk, right? So typically...
So let's see. Yeah. Like when I used it, I was able to get 1 to 2 ounces. What can you get out of it average in one breastfeeding session?
In one breastfeeding session, I'm averaging between 2 and 4. 4 is
Amazing.
usually in the morning, right?
Yep, that makes sense.
And by the end of the day, it's a little bit less. It's closer to the 2. Again,
So
as I'm starting to regulate more, it's a little bit less. But yes.
Yeah, if you use it throughout the day, that's 1 to 2 bottles that you've stored with doing nothing. What's great about the Haakaa is it has one part, basically, and you just suction it on and it collects the letdown. So you're not putting in a plug and cleaning all these hundreds of parts.
Right.
This just collects milk and you can stick it straight in your refrigerator. So
it's easy and convenient. It really, really is. Especially, I would say, when I first started using it, it's a little awkward, right?
Yeah.
And getting used to it.
I do have a video on how to properly use it because when I first got it, I was doing it totally wrong. So check out the description below because I have a video that shows how to properly use it.
As was I until I saw your video and you told me how to use it. So perfect.
Oh, that things we do as moms.
I know. When you're just trying, right?
Just trying.
Like trying to figure it out.
I love this one. They didn't have this one when I used it though. It has the suction on the bottom so that you can't spill it. Because I did do that. And this fun lid on top so that you can just like store it right away.
That's been helpful because there's
cool.
been plenty of times where I've hit it and fortunately because of the suction it's helped. I have another Haakaa that I also use because I interchange them as I'm sterilizing them that doesn't have the suction. So I'm a little bit more careful with that one because I have spilt it, right? And it's very frustrating to clean up everything, but at the same time, it's also extremely handy and I just love using it.
Check out how easy it is to go straight from nursing right to the fridge.
Okay, you have all this milk. How do we store them? Let's talk these freezer bags. What do you do?
Freezer bags, I love, 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 love them. So of course there's gonna be several different kinds, but I've been using just the Up and Up by Target.
Great, I loved Medela. That was my go-to, but oh my gosh, they're all
so many different brands, and it's all about finding the ones that you like and work for your convenience too. So that's what I found out early on that I really like this type, just the structure of it. But what I do is there's a date, volume, and time on here. Of course, we want to make sure that it's the first one in, the first one out, right? As far as order. So I make sure I mark the dates, I put the volume and then the time that I did it. Again, has a lot to do with just expirations and making sure that I'm using the first one in, first one out.
Yeah, that'll be really important when you go back to work to just start using that older milk first, because even though it does have a 6-month shelf life in the freezer, you know, give or take, you can make it last a little longer. You do want to be using that one first.
Absolutely. And I will have to say the time has been the least important part to me, of course, just because as long as the date is there and the volume and I put it in numerical order, it's all coming from the same day.
Okay, and you saw in her freezer and refrigerator those awesome bins that she's keeping them in. That helps organize them, keeps them perfectly lined up in order. I mean, if you have OCD and type A, you're going to be in love with her freezer.
These storage bins fit easily in any refrigerator or freezer and help to keep those storage bags so organized. You can find out more about these particular bins in the description below.
Okay, so one thing that I told you about was when you have your bag and you're taking it from the refrigerator to the freezer, how to get it nice and flat. What do you do?
So I lay it flat, right? You want to make sure that the milk is laid out pretty evenly so it makes it stack that much easier. It's far better for space. As you can see, that's how I'm able to put a lot in such a little area is because
new mom mistake here. Flat. I used to store them on like this in the freezer and then you'd have it thin on the top and a big thing down
block.
Here. And I could not get more than like 5 in a row. So
yeah, I'm getting about, it looks like about 20 per row is what we're getting just by laying it flat.
That's perfect.
It's really important to label each bag. Heather here is labeling it with the date, the time, and how much she's putting in. She's using the Haakaa that she just pumped and filling up her freezer bag. Always make sure to push out any excess air and seal it tight. When putting it straight into the freezer, lay it flat so that it freezes in an even level, and then you can put it up when it's solid.
All right, next tip. Why do you not always fill it to the highest one?
So thanks to your advice, and I started this really early, so I'm excited to see how this works, but I do go back to work. But There are times that I fill it maybe 3 ounces, sometimes 1 ounce, sometimes a full 6 ounce. Especially as she gets older, I know the amount that she's going to be eating is more, but at the same time, there's nothing more frustrating than when you warm up a bag that's 5 ounces and she eats 3.
Yes.
Right? So you're sitting there saying, what do I do with this milk? Because as you can see and read and Google everywhere, that milk only lasts for only lasts for so long, right?
Yeah.
So you can only let it sit. And what I'm having issues with too when I do bottle feed is Charlie doesn't like her milk getting cold. So even though your baby can still drink it slightly cold, she absolutely won't touch it. So at that point, I'm wasting a good 2 ounces,
3 ounces, and that's hard work. That's hard to get that milk.
It is, even though the storage or my freezer is like that. Again, it's something I panic over because it's so easy to not be able to use 2 ounces. That does take time.
And when you're out at work, you can't just like, I'm just going to breastfeed her a little bit more. It's like you're leaving her with grandma or daycare, and you left them a certain amount, and some of it's going to be wasted.
Exactly.
So. All right, so fill it up with different amounts.
Yes.
Like that. Cleaning pump parts. Okay, so that's not fun to do.
No.
But I did tell you about sticking your pump parts straight in the refrigerator in between pumping.
Yes.
So that you don't have to wash them every single time. And that is something that worked for me at work. I had a little mini fridge where I was pumping. So instead of having to wash it every time, I would just stick them in there, take them out at the end of the day, wash them at home, bring back the next day. So that's a cleaning tip.
That is one that I have been playing in the back of my mind because I haven't had to use it at work just yet because I'm still on maternity leave. However, I'm really looking forward to doing that because at the end of the day, it's a kitchen space that multiple people are using, right? And so I want to get in and out quickly. And if I'm sitting there cleaning and sterilizing products, breast pump products.
Hey, coworker, would you like to hold this for me?
Exactly.
But that also worked for me when I had to pump in the middle of the night. So when my baby started sleeping, like 8, 10 hours, you will get there, 8 to 10 hours. I would wake up so uncomfortable. So I would just pump like 3 ounces really quick. And instead of washing the pump parts at night, I would just stick them straight in the fridge. Not the pump, but the parts straight in the fridge, and then have them ready to go later. So then you don't have to clean them.
Because any little bit of sleep more that you can get, we need it, right?
Precious. So then another cleaning tip, these sanitizing bags. So
love these.
Let's see how to use those.
These are the Medela sanitizing bags. All of the directions are listed on the outside. Heather filled them up with some water, and now she's putting in all the parts she wants to sanitize, like bottles, pump parts, Haakaa, pacifier. Next, you seal it up and stick it in the microwave. Depending on your microwave, there's a certain amount of time that you are going to run it for. Carefully remove the bag from the microwave, watching out for the steam hole. Carefully drain the bag with any of the hot water. Open up the bag and throw everything on a towel to dry. It's that easy. These bags can be used up to 20 times, so always mark it off after each use.
Heather, thank you for coming on and sharing your experience with all these moms. We all get it. It's a lot. So I hope that some of these tips and tricks will be helpful for you and you'll get through this too. So if there are any products that we mentioned today, make sure to look at the description below because I'll make sure to link those. And while you're there, subscribe to my channel for more tips from from an experienced mom helping new moms, and hit that like button while you're there. Remember, Heather, as a new mom, everyone burns their first pancake, so
just keep flipping.